Chapter 2. Signals, Signs, and Pavement Markings. Chapter 2 of the Pennsylvania Driver's Manual provides the information you need to know about Pennsylvania roadways. It covers signals, signs, and pavement markings. Signals. Traffic signals are installed at intersections to control the movement of vehicles and pedestrians. Traffic signals are arranged in either vertical lines or horizontal lines. When they are arranged vertically, red is always on top and green on the bottom. When they are arranged horizontally, red is always on the left and green on the right. Red, yellow, and green traffic lights and arrows. When there is a steady red light, you must stop before crossing the marked stop line or crosswalk. If you do not see any lines, stop before entering the intersection. Wait for a green light before you start. You may turn right while the light is red unless a no turn on red sign is posted at the intersection. You must first stop, check for, and yield to pedestrians and other traffic. You may also turn left after you stop at the red light, if you are on the left lane and are turning left from a one-way street onto another one-way street, unless a sign tells you not to turn. You must first stop and yield to pedestrians and other traffic. A steady yellow light tells you a steady red light will soon appear. If you are driving toward an intersection and a yellow light appears, slow down and prepare to stop. If you are within the intersection or cannot stop safely before entering the intersection, continue through carefully. A steady green light means you may drive through the intersection if the road is clear. You may also turn right or left unless a sign tells you not to. However, when turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. A steady red arrow means you must stop and may not turn in the direction the arrow points. Wait for a green arrow or a flashing yellow arrow before you start. The same turns on red that are allowed for a steady red signal are allowed for a steady red arrow. A steady yellow arrow means the movement permitted by the green arrow or the flashing yellow arrow is about to end, and the signal will soon turn red. You should slow down and prepare to stop completely before entering the intersection. If you are within the intersection or cannot stop safely before entering the intersection, you may complete the turn begun on the preceding arrow with caution. A green arrow means you may turn the way the arrow points. When you turn during the green arrow phase, your turn is protected because oncoming traffic is stopped by a red light. If the green arrow turns into a green light, you may still turn in that direction, but first yield to pedestrians and oncoming traffic. Flashing signals. A flashing red light has the same meaning as a stop sign. You must come to a complete stop. Then look both ways and proceed only after the intersection is clear. A flashing yellow light means caution. Slow down, look, and proceed with care. A flashing yellow arrow means you may turn in the direction of the arrow with caution. However, you must first yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians. When you turn during the flashing yellow arrow phase, your turn is not protected. Oncoming traffic will have a green light. Non-functioning traffic lights. A non-functioning traffic signal would be treated as though it is a four-way stop sign. Ramp metering signals. Some highway entrance ramps have traffic signals at the end of the ramp that alternate between steady green and steady red. Ramp metering signals are used to control the flow of traffic onto very congested highways and usually operate during peak rush hours. You must wait for the green signal before you enter the highway. On single-lane ramps, only one car may enter the highway each time the light turns green. For multi-lane on-ramps, there will be a ramp meter for each lane. The green light does not protect your entrance onto the highway. You must still look for a safe gap in traffic to enter the highway. Lane use control signals. Special signals may also be placed directly over lanes to control traffic. These are commonly used at toll booths, on bridges, tunnels, and on multi-lane roads in cities where the direction of travel for a particular lane changes to ease the flow of traffic into or out of the city during peak rush hour. The following signals illustrate how specific lanes of a street or highway should be used. A steady downward green arrow over a traffic lane means you may use the lane. A steady yellow X over the traffic lane means you must change lanes because the direction of travel for that lane is about to be reversed. Get ready to leave the lane safely. A steady red X over a lane means you are not allowed to use the traffic lane. A white steady one-way left turn arrow over a lane means you may only turn left if you are in that lane. A white steady two-way left turn arrow over a lane means you may only turn left if you are in that lane, but the lane is shared by left-turning drivers approaching from the opposite direction. Pedestrian signals. Pedestrians must obey traffic and pedestrian signals. These pedestrian signals include the walk and don't walk lights, or the lighted picture of a walking person, meaning walk, and an upraised hand, meaning don't walk. If there are no pedestrian signals at the intersection, pedestrians must obey the red, yellow, and green traffic lights. Sometimes pedestrians are not aware of their responsibilities at traffic and pedestrian signals. Be alert for pedestrians who may not obey the signal. Always yield to pedestrians. Understand the responsibilities of a pedestrian, which are as follows. When a steady walk or lighted picture of a walking person comes on, it means start crossing, but be alert for turning vehicles that may not lawfully yield the right of way. When the flashing don't walk or flashing upraised hand appears, either finish crossing if you are in the street, or if you have not left the curb, do not start to cross. When the steady don't walk message or steady upraised hand is displayed, do not cross. Blind pedestrians. When driving near a blind pedestrian who is carrying a white cane or walking with a guide dog, you must slow down, always yield the right of way, and then proceed with caution. Be prepared to stop your vehicle in order to prevent injury or danger to the pedestrian. School zone signals. School zone signals are flashing yellow signals placed on the school zone speed limit signs. You must travel no faster than 15 miles per hour when the yellow signals are flashing or during the time periods indicated on the sign. Exceeding the speed limit in a school zone will result in 3 points on your driving record, and you will also be fined. Railroad crossing signals. Drivers are alerted when approaching a railroad crossing by the railroad crossing sign. Railroad crossings should be approached with caution at all times. You should always look both ways and listen for any approaching trains or signals before proceeding across the railroad tracks. You are required to stop at all railroad crossings when there is a signal of an approaching train. These signals include flashing red lights, a lowered crossing gate, a flagger signaling, or a train's audible signal of warning. Do not move forward or attempt to go around any gate or ignore any signal of an approaching train. If there are no signals at the railroad crossing, you should slow down and prepare to stop if you see or hear a train approaching. Proceed with caution only after all signals are completed, and then only when there is evidence no trains are approaching the crossing. You should stop if a train is approaching and has sounded its audible signal or is plainly visible and in hazardous proximity to the crossing. Do not stop your vehicle on a railroad track regardless of whether a train appears to be coming. If traffic is backed up because of a traffic signal, stop sign, or for any other reason, make sure you stop your vehicle in a location where it will be entirely clear of any railroad tracks. Listen to Chapter 3 for more information about how to safely cross a highway-railroad intersection. Bottom line, obey railroad crossing signs and signals. Signs. Signs are divided into 3 basic categories: regulatory, warning, and guide signs. Most signs within each category have a special shape and color. Regulatory signs. Regulatory signs tell you what you must do or must not do according to the law. The regulations posted on these signs advise you about speed limits, the direction of traffic, turning restrictions, parking restrictions, and so on. If you do not obey the messages on regulatory signs, you could be fined and receive points on your driving record because you are breaking the law. You also risk your safety and the safety of others by disobeying the messages on regulatory signs. For example, failing to stop at a stop sign, passing another car where it is not safe to pass, driving faster than the posted speed limit, or driving the wrong way on a one-way street. Usually, regulatory signs are black and white vertical rectangles or squares, like speed limit signs. Some regulatory signs are black, white, and red, like the no left turn sign with a circle and a slash. Other regulatory signs are red and white, like stop, yield, do not enter, and wrong way signs. The red and white stop sign is the only octagonal-shaped, 8-sided sign you will see on the highway. At an intersection with a stop sign, you must stop completely and check for pedestrians and cross traffic to clear the intersection before you go again. Slowing down without coming to a full stop is illegal. When you see a crosswalk or a stop line, a white pavement marking in advance of the stop sign, stop before the front of your vehicle reaches the first painted line. If you cannot see traffic, yield to any pedestrians and then carefully pull forward past the line until you can see clearly. Check for traffic and pedestrians and then go ahead when the intersection is clear. The white and black rectangular sign that reads "Accept right turns" is also used in conjunction with stop signs. This sign allows motorists to make the right turn without stopping. A four-way stop sign looks just like a stop sign but includes a panel at the bottom that reads "Four-way" and means there are 4 stop signs at this intersection. Traffic from all 4 directions must stop. The first vehicle to reach the intersection should move forward first. If 2 vehicles reach the intersection at the same time, the driver on the left yields to the driver on the right. If facing one another, both can proceed with caution, watching for possible turns. Red and white yield signs are triangular or 3-sided in shape. When you see this sign, you must slow down, check for traffic, and give the right of way to pedestrians and approaching cross traffic. You must stop only when it is necessary. Proceed when you can do so safely without interfering with normal traffic flow. Remember, you must have a significant gap in traffic before you can continue on at either stop or yield sign locations. Remember, you must have a sufficient gap in traffic before you can continue on at either stop or yield sign locations. The black and white rectangular sign that reads "To oncoming traffic" is used in conjunction with a yield sign at a one-lane bridge or underpass location. It alerts motorists that the one-lane roadway requires them to yield the right-of-way to opposing traffic. The railroad crossbuck sign is an X made with the words "Railroad" and "Crossing." This sign is placed at a railroad crossing where the tracks cross the roadway. You should treat the crossbuck sign as a yield sign. Slow down and prepare to stop if you see or hear a train approaching. Listen to Chapter 3 for more information about railroad crossing safety. The red and white "Do Not Enter" and "Wrong Way" signs work as a team. The "Do Not Enter" sign is put at the beginning of one-way streets and ramps. When you see this sign, do not drive onto the street or ramp in the direction you are heading. Wrong way signs are placed farther down the one-way street or ramp. They are placed there to catch your attention if you accidentally turn onto the street or ramp. The black and white one-way sign means traffic is allowed to move only in the direction the sign is pointing. If you turn onto a one-way street traveling in the opposite direction, you are likely to get into a head-on collision. The black and white divided highway sign includes a horizontal arrow pointing to the left with another horizontal arrow underneath pointing to the right, and a vertical line drawn across the middle of both. This sign means the road you are on intersects with a divided highway. The divided highway is really 2 one-way roads that are separated by a median or a guide rail. At the first roadway, you can only turn right, and at the second roadway, you can only turn left. The "No Truck, No Bicycles, and No Pedestrian Crossing" signs each illustrate what is not allowed in white, red, and black. For example, the "No Truck" sign shows a black truck with a red circle around it and a red slash across the circle. Operators of trucks, those on bicycles, and pedestrians may not use roadways where these signs are posted. The white, black, and red "No U-turns," "No right turns," and "No left turn" signs are located where these actions are prohibited at any or all times. Each illustrates the action. For example, an arrow in the shape of a U, covered by a big red circle with a red slash through it. The "No U-turn" sign prohibits U-turns. Do not make a complete U-turn to go in the opposite direction. The "No right turn" sign indicates right turns are prohibited. Do not make a right turn at this intersection. The "No left turn" sign indicates left turns are prohibited. Do not make a left turn at this intersection. The "No parking" sign, illustrated with a simple letter P with a red circle and slash over it, means you may not park a vehicle at locations where this sign is posted. The black and white sign with the words "Do Not Pass" may be placed in areas where you may not pass any vehicles going in the same direction. It is often accompanied by the yellow pennant-shaped sign that says "No Passing Zone." Hear more about this sign in the Warning Signs section. Lane Use Control Signs. The following lane use control signs or directional signs are placed at or near intersections, above the traffic lane they control to show what maneuver or maneuvers are permitted from that lane. Each black and white sign uses directional arrows and words to illustrate what is permitted. A sign with a curving left arrow and the words "Only" under it, paired with a two-pronged arrow with one prong curving left and one prong pointing straight, indicates that traffic in the left lane of the intersection must turn left. Traffic in the adjoining lane may turn left or continue straight. The center lane left turn only sign is illustrated with the words center lane at the top. Two curving arrows, one up and one down, and the words only at the bottom. This sign indicates where a lane is reserved for the exclusive use of left-turning vehicles in either direction and is not to be used for through traffic or passing. The turn to left or right sign shows a two-pronged arrow with one curving left and one curving right. The go straight or turn right signal shows a two-pronged arrow with one pointing straight and one curving right. If you are in a lane controlled by signs like these, you may travel in either direction the arrows point. The turn right only and turn left only signs also use directional arrows for illustration. If you are in a lane controlled by a sign with a turn arrow and the word only, you must make the turn when you reach the intersection. You may travel only in the direction the arrow points, even if you are in the turn only lane in error. There are two types of keep right signs. One that shows the word keep right with an arrow in between, pointing 45 degrees to the right, and one that shows a solid U shape with an arrow curving around the right of the shape. These signs direct drivers to keep to the right of the traffic island. The words right turn signal are used in the right turn signal sign, which is posted close to a traffic signal to indicate that the signal controls right turn movements. A speed limit sign, a sign with the words speed limit and the maximum speed numbers listed underneath, indicates the maximum legal speed under ideal conditions for the stretch of highway where it is posted. Your safety may depend upon driving slower than the posted speed under poor conditions. Driving too fast for conditions is the number one reason 16 and 17-year-old drivers are involved in crashes. You may not turn during the red light cycle at an intersection where a no turn on red sign is posted. This sign can be illustrated with the words no turn on red only, or with a left or right turning arrow with a red circle and slash over it. No matter the type of sign, you must wait for the signal to turn green. The sign with the words left turn yield on flashing yellow arrow indicates a left turn is permitted when the yellow arrow is flashing, but you must yield to oncoming traffic. This sign is commonly placed at intersections near the left turn traffic signal to inform drivers that left turns are not protected when the flashing yellow arrow is operating. The sign with the words left turn yield on green, followed by a green circle, indicates a left turn is permitted, but you must yield to oncoming traffic. It is commonly placed at intersections near the left turn traffic signal to remind drivers that left turns are not protected when the circular green signal comes on. The sign with the words opposing traffic has extended green is posted where opposing traffic may continue to move after your signal has turned red. The reserved parking sign uses those words in green, followed by the blue block illustration of a person in a wheelchair and a green two-direction horizontal arrow. Although this sign is not black and white, it is a regulatory sign. It marks areas where parking is reserved for disabled persons or severely disabled veterans. Vehicles parked in these spaces must display authorized registration plates or parking placards. Unauthorized vehicles parked in these spaces are subject to a fine and towing costs. Warning signs. Warning signs tell you about conditions on or near the road ahead. They warn you about possible hazards or changes in roadway conditions. They are posted before the condition so you have time to see what is ahead, decide how to respond, and slow down or change your travel path if necessary. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black symbols or words on a yellow background. The No Passing Zone sign is the only pennant-shaped warning sign and uses the words No Passing Zone. This sign marks the beginning of a no passing zone and is placed on the left side of the road facing the driver. Chevron signs, which look like the letter V on its side, are used when there is a sharp change in the direction of the road, such as a curve to the left or right. The road bends in the direction the chevron points. When used in a curve, there will be an advanced curve warning sign, and there may be several chevron signs placed throughout the curve. The left curve sign is an arrow curving to the left and illustrates that the road curves ahead to the left. You need to slow down, stay in the center of your lane, and prepare to navigate through the left bending curve. The sharp left turn sign is an arrow that curves left at a 45-degree angle, illustrating that the road ahead turns sharply to the left. You need to slow down substantially, stay in the center of your lane, and prepare to navigate through the sharp left turn. Some sharp turn signs have an advisory speed located on the sign or posted below it. The right curve sign is an arrow curving to the right and illustrates that the road curves ahead to the right. You need to slow down and position your vehicle slightly to the right of the center of your lane as you drive through the right bending curve. The sharp right turn sign is an arrow that curves right at a 45-degree angle, illustrating that the road ahead turns sharply to the right. You need to slow down substantially, position your vehicle slightly to the right of the center of your lane, and prepare to navigate through the sharp right turn. Some sharp turn signs have an advisory speed located on the sign or posted below it. The set of curve sign is a set that illustrates with arrows that the road ahead curves first in one direction and then back in the other direction, a set of two curves. Slow down and prepare to navigate through the set of curves. The sign for right and left sharp turns is also a set of signs that illustrates that the road ahead turns sharply, first in one direction, then back in the other direction. Slow down substantially and prepare to navigate through the set of turns. The winding road, or series of curve signs, indicates that there are 3 or more curves in a row on the road ahead and is illustrated with a multi-curved arrow. The one-direction large arrow sign is just that, a large horizontal arrow pointing to the right. It warns that the road ahead changes direction at an extreme angle. Before you reach such an extreme curve, slow down as much as you would to make a turn at an intersection. The road entering curve sign is a large arrow curving to the left or right with a smaller line intersecting on the right or left. It illustrates that the main road curves with a side road entering from the opposite direction. Approach the intersection with extra caution. A driver preparing to enter the main road may not be able to see you approaching from around the curve and may pull out in front of you, leaving you little room to avoid a crash if you are traveling too fast. The truck rollover sign, showing a truck canted right and a large arrow curving around it to the left, identifies curves where trucks traveling at excessive speeds have the potential to roll over. Advisory speed signs are smaller rectangles that may be used with any diamond-shaped warning sign. For example, an advisory speed sign might say 25 miles per hour and be paired with the sharp left curve sign to illustrate that the highest speed you should travel around the sharp left curve ahead is 25 miles per hour. A merging traffic sign is placed on a major roadway to tell you traffic may be merging into your lane from another roadway or a ramp. An example would be a large vertical arrow with a slightly smaller arrow merging into that larger arrow. This sign shows that traffic will be entering your lane from the right. Entering traffic must yield to traffic already on the major roadway. The added lane sign is placed in advance of a point where two roadways meet and is illustrated by an arrow curving into the left or right and an arrow pointing straight, with a solid and dotted line dividing them. It means merging is not necessary because the entering traffic uses a new lane that has been added to the roadway. The weave area sign is used to warn you that you will be merging with another roadway as some traffic is exiting and crossing your path. It looks like two arrows that started out apart, joined in the middle, and decided to go their separate ways. In the middle is a dotted yellow line. The divided highway begins sign looks a bit like the keep right sign, but has arrows going in both directions on either side of the solid U shape that represents the divider. It means that the highway ahead becomes a divided highway with two one-way roadways and a median or divider separating traffic moving in opposite directions. Keep to the right of the divider or median. Similarly, the divided highway ends sign has arrows going both ways around the solid U-shaped divider, but the divider is at the bottom of the sign. It shows that the divided highway on which you are traveling ends ahead. You will then be on a roadway with two-way traffic. Keep to the right of the center line and watch for oncoming traffic. The two-way traffic ahead sign has one arrow pointing ahead, or up, and one pointing the opposite way to show that the one-way street or roadway ends ahead. You will then be traveling on a road with two lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. Stay in your lane to the right of the center line. This sign may be placed at intervals along the two-way roadway. Lane end signs tell you that one lane on a multi-lane roadway will end ahead. There are three types. One has two horizontal lines that show a narrowing. Another says right or left lane ends. The third reads, lane ends, merge left or right. Intersection signs warn you of types of intersections. By showing you in advance how the roads join each other, the signs let you know when the road you are traveling on does not continue straight through the intersection. The signs also warn you about possible problems with the movements of other vehicles. A crossroad is illustrated with two lines intersecting at a 45-degree angle. A side road is shown with a larger vertical line intersected by a smaller horizontal line on the left or right. A T intersection sign is a simple capital letter T. A Y intersection sign is a simple capital Y. A circular intersection sign is illustrated by three curved arrows forming a circle. Approach all of these intersection types with extra caution by looking ahead and preparing to slow down if necessary. The two-direction large arrow sign is illustrated just like its name. The sign is placed at the far side of a T intersection to tell you that you can only go left or right. The road you are on does not continue straight through at the intersection. The narrow bridge or underpass ahead sign shows a two-lane road that narrows in the middle. It means that each lane on the bridge or underpass becomes narrower. Generally, there is no shoulder. You need to slow down and make sure you stay in your lane. If a driver approaching from the opposite direction has a wide vehicle or is taking up part of your lane, wait until the other driver clears the area. The slippery when wet sign warns that the road ahead is especially slippery when wet by illustrating a car slipping on the road. In wet weather, reduce your speed and increase your following distance. Do not accelerate or brake quickly. Make turns at a very slow speed. The deer crossing sign is posted in areas where deer frequently cross and crashes with deer have occurred. It has a leaping stag silhouette. The low clearance sign may be placed on an underpass or at an entrance to a tunnel or parking garage. Do not enter if your vehicle is taller than the height listed between the short vertical arrows on the sign. Shoulder signs are placed in advance of locations where the shoulder is lower than the road, soft, or unpaved. The low shoulder sign simply reads low shoulder. It's used where the shoulder is as much as 3 inches below the level of the road. The shoulder drop-off sign, a car silhouette with one tire off the road, is used for severe drop-offs. If you stray off the roadway and one wheel drops onto a low or soft shoulder, do not slam on the brakes or steer sharply to try to get back onto the roadway. By doing so, you could lose control of your vehicle. Listen to Chapter 3 for information about how to safely recover from drifting off the pavement. The hill or downgrade sign warns of a steep hill ahead. It's illustrated by a truck facing down an incline. Slow down. Be ready to shift to a lower gear to control your speed and prevent wear and tear on your brakes. The traffic signal ahead is illustrated with a red, yellow, and green traffic light. This sign alerts you to a traffic signal at the intersection ahead. You may not be able to see the signal because of a curve or hill. If the light is red or has just turned green, a line of vehicles may be stopped ahead. When you see the sign, slow down and prepare to stop, if necessary. A stop sign ahead sign shows the octagonal or 8-sided red stop sign with an arrow above it pointing ahead. This signals a stop sign at the intersection ahead. You may not be able to see the stop sign because of a curve, hill, or something else blocking your view. There may also be a line of vehicles at the stop sign you cannot see. When you see this sign, slow down in preparation to stop. The bicycle crossing ahead sign contains a bicycle silhouette on a yellow or fluorescent yellow-green background. It warns you that bicycles may be crossing ahead. Be prepared to slow down if necessary. The railroad crossing ahead sign contains a black X in a circle with the letter R in the left and right quadrants of the X. When you see this sign, begin looking and listening for a train. The sign is placed far enough in advance to allow you to stop before you reach the tracks, if necessary. Listen to Chapter 3 for more information about railroad crossing safety. The advanced intersection and railroad crossing sign looks like a capital H without its right side, and a railroad track intersecting the crosspiece. It means that the intersecting road has a railroad crossing within a very short distance from the intersection. If you are planning to turn onto the intersecting road, and if a train is approaching, be prepared to stop. The bicycle and motor vehicle share the road sign is illustrated with the words "Share the road," as well as silhouettes of a bicycle and automobile. It is used at roadway pinch points, places with no shoulder, narrow lanes, and so on, to warn you as a motorist to provide adequate space for bicyclists. The pedestrian crossing sign, a silhouette of a person walking, is used at a marked crosswalk or in advance of locations where pedestrians may be crossing your path. Be prepared to slow down or stop if necessary. This sign has a yellow background or a fluorescent yellow-green background. The school sign is the only pentagon-shaped sign used on the roadway. It shows silhouettes of two people and means you are approaching a school zone. If the sign is accompanied by a downward-pointing arrow, it means you are at the school zone crosswalk. You should slow down, watch for children crossing the road, and stop if necessary. This sign may have either a yellow background or a fluorescent yellow-green background. The horse-drawn vehicle sign contains a silhouette of a horse and carriage. It's posted in areas where slow-moving, horse-drawn vehicles cross or share the roadway with motorized vehicles. Objects adjacent to the roadway. Objects close to the edge of the road sometimes need a marker to warn drivers of potential danger. Objects adjacent to the roadway signs are yellow and black pavement markings. Potential dangers include underpass supports, ends of bridges, guide rails, and other structures. In some cases, there may not be a physical object involved, but rather a roadside condition such as a drop-off or an abrupt change in roadway alignment. Such roadside objects and conditions are indicated by the following markers, with stripes angled in the direction you need to move to avoid the hazard. Right hazard, keep to the left, is illustrated by black and yellow lines angled to the right on your right. Center hazard, keep to the left or right, is illustrated by black and yellow chevrons pointing forward in the center. Left hazard, keep to the right, is illustrated by black and yellow lines angled to the left on your left. Work zone signs, or work area and construction zone signs. Work zone signs are normally diamond-shaped, like warning signs, but they are orange with black lettering instead of yellow with black lettering. These signs identify maintenance, construction, or utility areas where workers or equipment may be on or near the roadway. When you see these signs, stay alert and slow down. Turn on your headlights when traveling through a work zone, no matter what time of day. This is the law for all posted work zones, not just for active ones. Using your headlights makes your vehicle more visible to other traffic, as well as to highway workers. If you are pulled over by the police for a traffic violation in a work zone, and your vehicle's headlights are not turned on, you will be fined an additional $25. The rectangular active work zone when flashing increased penalties sign is placed at the beginning of an active work zone, and the rectangular end of active work zone sign is placed at the end of the active work zone. An active work zone is the portion of a work zone where construction, maintenance, or utility workers are on the roadway or shoulder next to an open travel lane. The diamond-shaped road work ahead sign says just that. It informs you that there is road work ahead and cautions you to slow down. The diamond-shaped lane closed ahead sign tells you that a particular lane will be closed at a specified distance ahead. The workers ahead sign shows a silhouette of a person shoveling. It means that workers may be on or very close to the roadway, so take special care when traveling through the area. A diamond-shaped sign with the words, "Road closed, flooding," informs you that the road ahead is closed due to flooding. You must use an alternate route. The flagger ahead or road construction ahead sign shows a flagger controlling traffic ahead. It contains a silhouette of a person with one arm up and a flag in the other outstretched arm. Flaggers use various signs and signals to indicate direction. A red 8-sided stop paddle indicates that traffic must stop and wait. A black and orange octagonal slow paddle indicates traffic must move slowly. A red flag indicates to stop or slow down. Pay special attention to flaggers when approaching and traveling through a work zone. Electric arrow panels are large flashing panels with a single arrow or series of chevrons. They are placed in the roadway or mounted on vehicles. They advise approaching motorists of lane closures and signal to move or merge right or left, depending on the direction of the arrows. Begin your merge well in advance of the sign. An arrow panel displaying 4 dots in a grid or a horizontal string of dots indicates that there is a work area ahead next to the travel lane. Drive with extra caution. Channeling devices are orange and reflective silver striped barrels, tubes, cones, and vertical panels. They are used in work zones to guide you through changing traffic patterns and keep you away from hazards associated with road work. Did you know that highway workers have forms to report motorists who speed or drive unsafely in work zones? They can submit these forms to the police, who may then issue a ticket, resulting in fines and points for the motorist. Guide signs. Guide signs provide information about intersecting roads, directions to cities and towns, and points of interest. Guide signs also help you find hospitals, service stations, restaurants, and motels. These signs are often horizontal rectangles. Highway or expressway signs are green with white letters. Most highway and expressway signs list the exit number and cardinal points, such as east, west, north, or south, route number, exit name, and number of miles until the exit, or an arrow if it is the sign at the exit point. There are usually 2 advanced signs. The third sign is posted at the exit. Several signs are necessary because high speeds and heavy traffic can cause drivers to miss seeing a sign. Also, motorists may need to make 1 or more lane changes to exit. Pennsylvania exit numbers. Pennsylvania exit numbers signs now correspond with mile markers, similar to states to our west and south. Exit numbering allows motorists to quickly calculate distances between exits. For example, the distance between exit 95 and exit 20 is 75 miles. If a highway sign contains a yellow panel with the words exit only, the lane below the sign will not continue through the interchange. Instead, the lane will form a ramp. If you are in a lane posted with an exit only, you may change lanes, or if you stay in this lane, you must exit the highway. These 3 signage tips will help you know which side of the highway to exit. If the exit is on the left side of the highway, the small green exit number on top of the green rectangular sign will be on the left side of the sign. If the exit is on the right side of the highway, the small green exit number on top of the green rectangular sign will be on the right side of the sign. If the sign has white arrows, the arrow will point in the direction of the exit. The red, white, and blue shield-shaped sign indicates a highway is an interstate. The word interstate is shown at the top of the sign, with the interstate number below. These interstates are specially numbered to help motorists find their way through unfamiliar areas. A code is used to show if the route travels mainly east and west or north and south. The code also shows if the route is in the eastern, middle, or western United States. The numbers on the interstate shield can be a great navigational aid when you understand how they work. They generally follow this pattern. 1 or 2-digit, even-numbered interstates generally travel east-west. Nationally, the numbers increase from I-10 in the south to I-94 in the north. In Pennsylvania, I-76 is in the southern part of the state. I-84 and I-80 are in the northern part. 1 or 2-digit, odd-numbered interstates generally travel north-south. Numbers increase from the west coast with I-5 to the east coast with I-95. In Pennsylvania, I-79 is in the western part of the state, and I-95 is in the eastern part. 3-digit interstate highways connect to other major highways. If the first of the 3 digits is an even number, the highway usually connects to interstate highways at both ends, such as I-276 in Philadelphia. Such routes are often known as loops or beltways. When the first of the three digits is an odd number, the highway is usually a spur route. This means it connects with another interstate at only one end, sometimes going into a city center, such as I-180 in Williamsport. Green and white mile marker signs are used on some highways. They indicate the number of miles from where the traffic route entered the state, or if it does not extend across the state borders, from its beginning. The sign shows the word mile horizontally across the top, and each digit listed vertically below it. The numbers start at 0 in the western part of the state for east-west roadways, and in the southern part of the state for north-south roadways. The numbers increase as you travel east or north and decrease as you travel west or south. For example, when you enter Pennsylvania from the west on Interstate I-80, the mile markers begin at mile 1 and increase as you travel east. Knowing how to read mile markers can help you know exactly where you are and give you an approximate location if you have to call for roadside assistance. The following route marker signs indicate the route on which you are traveling. U.S. traffic route markers are square black signs that display the route number on a white shield. Pennsylvania traffic route markers are keystone-shaped and display the number of the Pennsylvania traffic route. Both U.S. and PA traffic route markers can be enhanced as follows. A junction plate on a route marker shows that you are approaching the intersection of a traffic route. The plate is a small white rectangular sign reading JCT and is placed above the traffic route sign. A direction plate on a route marker shows the direction you are traveling. The plate is a small white rectangular sign reading east, west, north, or south and is placed above the traffic route sign. A supplemental arrow on a route marker assembly means you are approaching a turn to continue on the traffic route. A trailblazer plate on a route marker has the word "to" and a supplemental arrow. The sign means you must continue ahead to access the traffic route. Service signs are square or rectangular and blue with white letters or symbols. These show the location of various services located at the next exit. A hospital sign displays a capital letter H. A telephone sign displays a telephone handset with a horizontal arrow. A food sign displays a fork and knife on a plate. A gas sign displays a gas pump. A diesel fuel sign displays a gas pump with the capital letter D on it. And a lodging sign displays a person lying on a bed. Tourist-oriented directional signs are square or rectangular and may be blue or brown with white lettering. The signs direct motorists to tourist attractions such as museums, historical landmarks, and state and national parks. Pavement markings. Most roads have pavement markings that show the center of the road, travel lanes, or road edges. The markings that show the center of the road are solid or broken lines. These pavement markings also indicate special lane use. Yellow lines divide traffic traveling in opposite directions. Yellow lines are used to mark the center of two-lane roads and to mark the left edge of divided highways, one-way streets, and ramps. Solid white lines divide lanes of traffic traveling in the same direction. Solid white lines are also used to mark the right edge of the road. As a general rule, broken traffic lines can be crossed and solid lines cannot, except when making a turn. Examples of different pavement markings and their meanings follow. A single broken yellow center line shows the center of a two-way, two-lane road. Passing is permitted on either side if safe conditions exist. When passing, you must use the lane belonging to oncoming traffic. A double solid yellow center line shows the center of a two-way road. Even if it is not marked with a no passing sign, passing by traffic traveling in either direction is not allowed on roads marked in this manner. The combination of a solid yellow and a broken yellow center line also shows the center of a two-way roadway. You may pass if the broken line is on your side of the road and safe conditions exist. You may not pass when a solid yellow line is on your side of the road. Many 3-lane and 5-lane highways have special center lane markings. An outside solid yellow center line means you cannot use the center lane for passing. Inside, broken yellow and solid yellow center lines show that vehicles traveling in either direction may use the center lane only to make left turns. Listen to Chapter 3 for more information about using center turn lanes safely. Multi-lane highways without medians or center dividers are often marked with broken white lines showing which lanes can be used by vehicles traveling in the same direction. You may cross the broken white lines to pass, making sure the passing lane is clear, but you may not cross the double yellow center line to pass. Opposing traffic travels in the lane left of the yellow center line. Special patterns are used on most limited-access highways with medians or center dividers. The right edge of the road is marked with a solid white line. The left edge of each side is marked by a solid yellow line. The traffic lanes for each side are marked by broken white lines, which may be crossed. Pavement markings also include words painted on the pavement and arrows that supplement messages posted on regulatory and warning signs. Examples include the words "Stop ahead" before an intersection with a stop sign, "Yield" or white triangles painted across the lane to indicate you must yield to approaching traffic, "School" before a school zone, the letters RXR before a railroad crossing, "Bike lane" for a lane reserved for bicyclists, a left or right arrow with the word "Only" to indicate that the lane is reserved for turns only, and large white arrows to indicate the direction of travel on one-way streets and highway off-ramps.